the trolley, they call it trolley? Scrutiny. Baggage scanner. And the president is also raising the same. So you are on the same, on the same point on the issue of corruption, Chair. That one, I have to note it, and it has to be on record. But what I wanted to bring on, Chair, information is coming out that the people who are interdicted, that's why maybe they say in human resources there is no record. They are not the very people. So you guided well that you will interest yourself further in the baggage scanners. And also in the Committee of Infrastructure, we shall also handle it. But what I'm telling you that information is coming, but since you said you are going to handle, that there was what we call, you shoot a wrong target. But the issue is fighting corruption has to be fought. And on record, Chair, the president picked that from you. I don't know whether you are the one who picked from the president, but at least you are moving in the same direction, fighting corruption.
Maybe to guide the member, and I mentioned that, I mentioned about idle assets, where I even tried to understand the figures, whether it is in trillion or billion. The 17 billion of assets which are idle. Now, among these assets identified by the Auditor General at the is the baggage scanner, among others, and several other unfinished projects, and which has a possibility of occasioning a loss. Now, our concern is, why shouldn't the board, as a supervisor of these particular directors, have taken all this long, if in any case they identify these errors, or totally fail to identify this anomaly, that it calls for another entity somewhere or person somewhere to now direct the minister. Now, the chronology speaks to probably a situation where we need to interrogate as to whether even the board functions, exist, and how do, if there is no proof that they could do, they conducted their oversight duties over these directors and the entity. Now it becomes concerning because our interest is who failed, who acted wrongly, who omitted to act where they ought to have acted. And by insinuation, there is a possibility of a financial loss. As we interest ourselves in this. And two, with these non-functional items, it also inconveniences a Ugandan, a traveler, and probably service providers. Now, as to how many people identify this anomaly, of course, you mentioned president, but I also have my own president. That's the challenge. My president also, from the party where I come from, by appointing me as the chairperson of COSASE and my deputy, our assigned duty is to hold government and to keep government in check on behalf of the leader of the opposition. So we transact, but with neutrality and in accordance with the law and the rules. And we shall accord a fair opportunity to all parties that appear. However, whether there is a fight against corruption or not, all what matters is that the Constitution avails powers to Parliament to hold and to scrutinize entities and government in line with the law, especially by holding accountable all accounting officers and leaders over matters and observations by the Auditor General. So I believe we are speaking the same thing, only that we have a different background and orientation. You were just doing some simple campaign. But even for us, as on our side, when we are positioned as chair and deputy, now we exercise neutrality to afford a fair hearing, but we must be alive to the law. As to who identifies the error is another issue. How we process it, it is this committee. Yes, Honorable Batua.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Allow me introduce myself. Chair, Vice, and the colleagues and our witnesses. I'm Dr. Batua Timothy Rusala, Member of Parliament of Jinja Southwest, Member of Parliament where you find Chimaka Aerodrome. Now, Honorable Chair, as we interrogate the Auditor General's report, the questions we've prompted in the preliminaries establishing the legality of the people in the various positions as acting, I believe will form part of our report. But while doing that, we also got communication from the President, a communication requiring officers of this agency to be retired in public interest, which the Minister communicated, demanding that they be fired immediately. Now, my concern, which I think will be important for the report, especially when reporting on that matter, is whether the internal auditor of the agency, if there is one, has any report in regard to the conduct of the people who are dismissed in public interest. If there is any report, because I believe we may not find it in the Auditor General's report, but it's a matter that has arisen that will form part of the report. So if there is any information to that effect, it will also help give a very good direction in our reporting on those people. Otherwise, if there is no report, then we have descended in what we are seeing, politicians doing the work that should be done by such a person. Is what we see the Minister of Local Government doing and his counterpart. So let's see what this UCCA appears, the shape of UCCA. UCAA.
Uganda Civil Aviation Authority.
Okay, let's see
so
the shape of Uganda Civil Aviation Authority in terms of self-control.
Let me also guide before you. Let me also guide here. When people mention and colleagues mention, one mentioned infrastructure, one mentioned this, we are less bothered by what happens elsewhere. The report of the Auditor General for Uganda Civil Aviation Authority was sent to Park Kosase, this committee. And as to whether someone appears elsewhere, those are other matters. But for matters of accountability, it is here, and we shall not take reference to what another committee had. We want to hear. And every document must be submitted here, because on matters of accountability, the rules are very clear. The audit report is sent to Park Kosase. And I also want to use this to air out and clear to some accounting officer are forming opinion at this stage. And it is very effective and in order that we appreciate how the entity we are interfacing with is constituted and transacting. Because every change as made within occasion a cost and speaks to accountability. And that's why it is prudent that we ascertain these administrative issues, which are, according to the letters, the letters, and that's why we shall also be interested to look at the Attorney General's opinion, because ordinarily anyone may think that there is an anomaly here. Now there are two aspects. These anomalies cited, aspects of corruption, aspects of the idle properties, mismanagement, but there's also an aspect of who, as to who is actually responsible. But I believe those require thorough scrutiny. And even as we internalize the report of the Auditor General, we shall reach there. Did you have anything quick to respond to?
This morning, we could have thought through it much as it hadn't been requested of us, but prudence would have required that perhaps we would have thought of it quickly, that by having acting people in positions would have carried those copies. But we have carried the information that had initially been requested of us, Chairperson, and would be happy
maybe
to hear from you to guide us on the way forward, Chair.
Maybe colleagues have received I've received here to Miss Olive Birungi Lumanya, 18th December 2025. Tenure 4 years. In your introduction, you said you have been serving the authority for 5 years. First clear that before you continue.
Chair, this is a renewed contract.
So there's another contract.
The first one I served, which expired, and this is a new contract.
Which one? This is the new one?
Yes, Chair.
New one from 2025.
Yes,
So it is
Chair.
still running.
Yes, Chair, it is running.
Okay. And number two, duties and description. Want to now usher in the aspect of whether she's competent there before us. The appointing letter says, as per part 4, section 16 of the Civil Aviation Authority Act, cap 354, and as per attached job description. Now, colleagues, I want to take you now straight to the act, and we read it and interpret. And section 16, deputy managing director. The law provides, these very small letters, there shall be a deputy managing director who shall assist the managing director in the performance of his or her duties and perform the duties of the managing director in the absence of the managing director. Number 2, the deputy managing director shall be appointed by the minister on the recommendation of the board and shall be responsible to the managing director. That is the language of the law. The section ends there.
If section 16 clearly provides that the deputy managing director shall substantially become the MD in the absence of the MD, the substantive MD, then what's the use of these instruments? Acting capacity, isn't that outrageous or ultra-vires? Thank you.
I believe this is the act. We shall only need to understand how the terms are interchangeably used as Deputy Director General.
Because that act, Chair, we amended in 10th Parliament. That's why they became Director General.
And
2023.
Head legal, our legal counsel is your act, the present act. You be on the record, according to the said section. So the language of the section is Deputy Managing Director. And then we have the Managing Director under section. So Honorable, did your act pass, the one you are talking about?
Chair, that's where in the last time there were managing directors.
So maybe let's interrogate also this aspect.
Me to ask our Corporation Secretary acting to clarify on that also.
Yes, Corporation Secretary.
Thank you very much. And that is when the redesignation was effected from Managing Director to Director General. Chair, the same amendment of Section 16 only redesignated the titles within, but did not take away 16.1 that you read, its substance.
So the substance of the section remains.
Only the title.
Only the title changed.
Was changed, yes. And then there's a question asked by Honorable, my land friend, about the redundant, whether or not it's not redundant to have an appointment letter. Chair, the amendment of 2019 that I've referred to under section 15B does actually provide that the Director General may in writing delegate to the Deputy Director General. So the issue of writing has been left as a discretion. While it is true that in his absence, it automatically falls to the Deputy, there is a may as and when need may arise. Chair, I do submit.
And I think